there, Sam. It's good to see you again.
It's great to see you as always, Lily.
Well, so I've got this really cool seed mix now, and I'm super excited to just go ahead and start planting. And I was watching some other meadow videos online, and I saw people just throwing their seed right out onto their grass. Now, is that something that I can do?
I would recommend against that. You see a lot of things on the internet, not all of it's true. And there's a misconception that just throwing seeds for a meadow onto a lawn can get you a healthy meadow, and rarely is that possible. Also, it's rarely possible to plant plants directly into a lawn. With some species of meadow plants that works, and some types of lawns that works, but generally that is setting yourself up for failure. We're gonna have to think about clearing that lawn to really establish your meadow on the right foot.
Okay, well, if I need to clear my lawn grass away, what are the ways that I can do that?
Well, you've got a few main techniques. You can disturb the soil, you can remove some of the soil, you can smother the vegetation using a tarp or something, or you can use chemicals like herbicides to kill the vegetation. I can walk you through some of those.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. So you talked about disturbing the soil. Would I need like special machinery to do that at all?
If you want to save your back, yeah.
Okay.
So when I mean disturb the soil, I mean things like tilling the soil. So as you may be familiar with on a farm, so using a tiller, a farm implement of some sort, handheld or a tractor, and you disturb the soil, and what that does is it rips up all the lawn vegetation, and it dries out the roots. A lot of it dies, but some of it re-roots and comes back. And importantly, when you disturb the soil that way, you're dredging up a lot of seeds in the seed bank, and those will become new weeds. So rarely can you just till a site once. In some conditions you can, but usually it's a 2 to 3 time event at least to sufficiently kill the vegetation that's already growing and to exhaust the seed bank of weeds that are in the soil.
Oh, gotcha. So they just keep coming back, and it's essentially just a battle against these weeds that keep growing.
It could be, and I've seen some meadow projects fail because people do a tilling of their grass, and then they plant their seeds, and then all those seeds are overwhelmed by weeds, and their meadow doesn't work out, and a lot of money and time are wasted.
Well, that method sounds like it might not be the best because I'd have to rent machinery multiple times.
Probably.
So you mentioned clearing the soil away. How about that?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit more.
So we would call that something like scouring, for example, scouring away some soil. And there's a few ways to do that. For a lawn, you could, again, you might have to rent a piece of machinery, or else you're gonna hurt yourself. Something like a turf cutter, to cut the top 2 to 3 inches of sod and soil away, and that removes the grass from your lawn and most of the seeds in the soil that'll become weeds. Now, it's fairly easy to do. You can rent these machines, but you've got to think about what you're going to do with all that grass you're removing.
Oh, so I might need to sell that? Would I be able to do that?
Well, sometimes, depending on if it's really nice grass, someone might want to buy it. Someone might want to take it as a donation. You're like, hey, I saw you disturb some of your lawn to build a shed. You want some turf to revegetate? Yeah, it can be something that turns into a hassle unless you have something lined up.
Okay, well, that sounds like it might be a little bit difficult for me as well.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned smothering. What does that mean, and how would I do that on my lawn?
Sure, so smothering the soil, I'm sure you've seen examples of this and haven't even realized it. Smothering is taking some sort of material like a tarp or some cardboard or boards, or better yet, something that's permeable like a landscape fabric that allows precipitation to percolate through, that allows gas exchange between soil organisms in the atmosphere, and it's taking this material and covering a section of lawn. And that material prevents the lawn from receiving sunlight. It can't eat sunlight to photosynthesize, and eventually it dies. In some areas, farther south from central New York, where it's kind of cool and kind of cloudy all the time, you can use clear materials, and that solarizes the vegetation. It cooks it, and that will contribute to its mortality even faster. This is a technique that's appropriate for small sites. As you'd imagine, the larger your site is, the more material you need, and the more problems you may face. For example, you live in a neighborhood and there's a lot of deer around here. They're going to step on that and shred it up, and it's going to blow into your neighbor's lawn or maybe into that fancy lake that you live nearby, and you might make a lot of people really unhappy. So I would be really careful how you approach this technique at your property.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned herbicide. Isn't that really bad for the planet? Doesn't that go against like everything that making a meadow is about?
Feels wrong, right? You know, the herbicide's wrong. I am not in any way recommending herbicide, but I want to give you some information about herbicide so you can make this decision in a safe way. First of all, it's kind of a little wrong to me that anyone could walk into a hardware store and buy herbicides like glyphosate without any training on safe use. Any tool that is misused can be dangerous, and herbicides are absolutely dangerous when misused and overused, as is unfortunately so often the case. But not all herbicides are the same. There are many types. They interact chemically very differently in different areas of the environment. They interact differently with different wildlife. It is complicated. Herbicide, when used correctly, doesn't have as heavy an impact on the soil biological community and soil structure compared to these other techniques. I do think, though, Lily, if you're exploring herbicide, I don't want you watching a YouTube video and doing this yourself. I want you to consult a certified herbicide applicator who is a professional at this sort of work. Talk to them and make sure this is something that you want to do and you feel safe with them doing it.
So you've given me a lot of different methods and pros and cons.
That's what I do.
Yeah, and I appreciate it greatly. But what would you suggest for my quarter-acre meadow that's in a suburb? How would I best remove my lawn?
All right, let's think about the pros and cons for your specific situation. You live in a suburb, you've got a lot of neighbors, all the houses kind of look the same. There's a look, right?
Yeah.
And people might be upset with things like you causing a huge amount of soil disturbance or spraying herbicide right next to their house, or you put a tarp down and it gets ripped up and it blows into their driveway. So let's think about some options for you. I actually think that a scouring might be the best for your situation. It's a relatively small area. It'll take you a good amount of time all day, but stripping the soil is something you can learn how to do. You can rent a machine, and the advantage of stripping away the soil is you've removed the grass and the weed seed bank. You can plant a meadow right after that.
Ah.
Yeah. The downsides, if you use a tarp, well, deer might step on it and shred it up. It might get blown away in the winds. Then you've got enemies. I don't want you using herbicide. I'd like you to get some experience doing that first before you try it out. And tilling is going to cause so much soil disturbance and a lot of time with a machine that might get expensive. Unless you know someone that can lend you a tiller, that might not be financially effective for you. So I would lean towards, in your situation, using a turf cutter.
Okay, well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate all of your advice, and hopefully next time I'll have a meadow planted in my front yard.
I can't wait to see it, Lily.
All right, well, see you soon, Sam.
See you all soon.